Now, it is the Court of Appeals. They can
Yes.
go en banc, which is the entire court, then go to the
Yes.
Supreme Court. But how significant potentially is this?
I think it's significant, particularly after the ruling this past week in New York along a similar line for a different set of reasons. The president's 0 for 2 in the past 7 days with trying to convince a federal judge that basically that these people have, the prosecutors and investigators in Congress have no business looking into his tax returns.
And as I understand it, that was a lot of the debate at the Court of Appeals was, is there a legitimate legislative oversight capacity pursuant to which this is being done?
Yes. So that was a key element, was Trump's lawyers, the president's lawyers, contending that this is not within the normal purview. It's, I'm paraphrasing, to some extent a fishing expedition, or it's more appropriate for law enforcement if they're looking for problems in tax returns, and that is not something the legislature should be doing. But the prevailing argument was no. There's a set up by Congressman Cummings, who said this is part of our legitimate oversight function. We noticed there was the discrepancy with how the Trump organization accounted for Michael Cohen's payments to Stormy Daniels. It goes back to that again. And this showed that there was a hole in the way these things are reported. And going forward, it's our business to know if we should change the law regarding presidential disclosures.
So it's important to try to keep these things separate because there's a growing number of them. As you said, there was an earlier ruling that basically it stayed essentially a district court decision. That had to do with the tax accountants and the tax returns for President Trump. And that is a criminal proceeding, investigation by Cyrus Vance here, a local thing. So this is entirely different. This is the Congress saying we need it. The other one is Cy Vance, the local prosecutor here saying I need it for a different reason. Yes,
but there's a similar defense in both cases. In the Manhattan DA's investigation, Cy Vance, the president's lawyers argued that he has no business rummaging around this. It's like it'll be a distraction to the president, and it's a fishing expedition. And the federal judge, basically swept that aside a few days ago and said, no, it's a legitimate function here. Now, yes, it's going to be appealed, so that's going to slow things down. That's part of the president's defense strategy, and it's a successful one, is to appeal. And I think, as you pointed out a moment ago, that's what's going to happen in Washington, D.C. with this as well.
Yeah, none of us want a constitutional crisis. At the same time, if there's a conflict between the executive branch and the judiciary, it may come up here before it actually gets to Congress going after things on the impeachment inquiry.
Yes.
In a slower track.
Right. A constitutional fight between the legislative branch and the executive branch. This could eventually go to the judicial branch and all the way to the Supreme Court.
And then the question is, does the executive branch follow the orders of the judicial branch?
Yes, absolutely.
That's where it gets tricky. Okay.